everybody. Thank you for tuning in. We are here with Gabrielle, and we will be talking about burnout, why it sucks, why we've all been introduced to it recently, and kind of how to fix it. So let's bop her on up to say, hey, hello, darling. How are you?
Hi, I am good. We had some really cool intro music there. I was like moving and grooving. I liked it.
Yes, just get us in the mood. Just like some ambiance, definitely. So, can you please introduce yourself and why are you fabulous?
Yes, thank you. So I'm Gabrielle. I'm a licensed clinical social worker, and I used to be a therapist. I retired from therapy in December because of my own burnout. I specialized before in working with trauma and chronic health issues and burnout. And I owned a group practice in Colorado. I scaled it to seven figures and then I sold it. And now I do intuitive business coaching, sound healing, retreats all around burnout prevention through a polyvagal lens. That's your nervous system, and how to scale and sell your business.
Awesome. And we already have people signing on to the live. Raven Rising. Oh, wow. Raven Rising and Nora are here. Hello, peeps. Thank you so much for tuning in. You guys remember that you can comment and like and engage with us. We're chatty people. So, what is burnout? Because I feel like everyone kind of knows what it is, but what is it exactly?
That is a good question because whenever I talk about this, I always say this that people use stress and burnout interchangeably, but they're not the same thing. So they are like BFFs and they hang out together, but they're different. And stress is like too much and overactive symptoms and anxiety and worry and like hyperactive. And burnout is the exact opposite of that. So burnout is this numbness, detachment, disillusionment, and burnout is basically chronic, long term, unresolved stress.
I agree. I think that, they're sisters, they hold hands, they dance together occasionally, and chronic stress can lead to burnout. But when people are like, oh my gosh, I'm so burnt out, and I'm like, you are still putting in 50 hours a week and everything. You're and it's not to say that stress isn't serious. It's not to say
Right.
that, it's not to minimize anything. And it's to understand what people are actually saying. I think another term that's just batted around a lot on social media is narcissism. That it's
That
like,
is another one. And it's like not everybody who is an egotistical asshole is a narcissist. Like being having narcissistic personality disorder is very serious and it requires like very significant testing and therapy to get to that diagnosis. So
yes, and everyone's like, I think I've met a lot of women, I don't know about you, but that just say I dated a narcissist. I'm like, did you? Like,
yeah,
I'm not saying
they're
you
just a
wasn't a
jerk.
tool bag.
They're just an asshole. I'm sorry.
Yeah, because it's not as so burnout is very common, I think, but it's not
Yeah.
as common as people think it is because burnout is the severe, like it's the far end, it is the end of the line type thing. So
Yes.
can burnout happen barring trauma? I want to put that aside, like a horrible car accident, you had a horrific traumatic experience, putting that aside because that can cause anyone to just
Sure.
and fizzle. Putting that aside, can burnout happen? I don't want to say spontaneously, but like quickly, like in a few days or like a week? Or is it always long term? I've always viewed it as like a process that it's
Yeah.
like, oh, you're okay. You're not okay. Okay, life's on fire. All right, life's on fire, and now there are casualties. Life's on fire, there are casualties, and you have given up. That's
Correct.
the way I see it's not like overnight you're like and done. That's not burnout. That's depression, a trigger, anxiety that then you would go and seek help for. What do you think about that?
It's burnout is a gradual process. So even though you may wake up one day, and I totally did, I totally had this moment. I remember it very vividly in the summer of like 2021. And I woke up and I was like, I can't do this anymore. But it was me just having that moment, like that
Mhm.
catalyst. And then, of course, when I looked back 3 years later, you see all of the things that were leading up to it and all of the red flags and all of the triggers. But burnout does build gradually over time. That's why prevention is so important, because if you are watching this or listening to this and you have experienced burnout or depression or know somebody who has, you know how hard it is to climb up out of that really deep, dark hole. But there's lots you can do to prevent it. And yes, it does build up gradually over time, even though you might just wake up one day and be like, this sucks and I hate my life. But there are definitely triggers and red flags beforehand.
Absolutely. And I think that is one of the biggest problems with burnout is that I'm fine. I just need to drink another coffee and I can make it through the day. It's fine. It's fine. And then I feel like with that too, with that level of denial, you also deny help because you constantly are
Yes.
telling yourself you're fine. So even if people outside of you see it, they're like, "Hey, would you like a hand?" And you're like, "No, why would you ask? I'm fine. I'm fine."
Mhm.
If
Exactly.
they're just like hyperventilating in a corner. So I think denial is a big part, sadly, of burnout. That you're right. Like we don't until we wake up one day and we're like, "Ooh, that, yep, nope, done, bye,
Mhm.
yep."
And I think too, like for my generation, which I'm technically a millennial, we didn't really have the same narrative as Gen Z has, where they like care about their mental health and then look at work ethic a little bit differently.
Mhm.
For us, it was like hustle, hustle as hard as you can. And I know that when I was starting my business, that was totally the message that I got was
Mhm.
like, work your ass off. And that's what entrepreneurs and small business owners do. Like they work 7 days a week and they love working and they're addicted to work. And that's not true at all.
And if you can't do it, then you don't deserve to succeed. You
Yeah.
don't deserve XYZ. Like I remember because I'm a millennial too, and it was if you don't have a 4-year degree, you're not gonna succeed. And it's like, okay, well, that's not true, but that's what we were told. And then it's like, well,
Mhm.
if you're not working this, and we grew up in hustle culture, which is
Yes.
like hustle culture, I think is like the feeding tube of burnout. It's just this like go, 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 and you should be able to push harder. And it's this competition. I remember when I was in my 20s, every time I hung out with friends, even if it was like to have a casual lunch, everyone tried to one up each other. Like, oh my
Mm,
gosh, I'm so hungry. You're hungry. I haven't eaten all day because I've been working 10 hours already. Oh
yep.
my gosh, I'm so poor. You're poor. I'm like, everyone was constantly trying to one up each other. And then it's like hustle culture. I don't remember, like maybe in elementary school and middle school, but by like high school and then after, I remember you had to have a full time job and a side hustle.
Yes.
And that was the norm. If you just, how lazy are you? You only have
Only work
one
one
job?
job.
No
Yes.
wonder you can't afford groceries. No, don't be doing that. It's so that's how I, and that it was very normal. And it's like, that's what we did to each other.
Yeah.
Like not even, hearing it from our elders, which is a whole different thing, but like always talking to each other and being like, okay, well, what am I going to do and how am I going to do this? And it was always just hustling and
Yep.
not so I feel like, and correct me if I'm wrong, this is an opinion, this is an observation. Millennials are a burnout generation.
Oh, for sure.
More than
Absolutely.
more than the generation before us because they had, you know, yeah, the generate like it was nice to have a two income home, but you could survive on an income one income home, right? Our parents could survive on that.
Yeah, they totally could.
I'm trying to
And
think. I'm like, yeah, we're the generation that we both
I think
people had to
so.
work full time and have side hustles, or else you're never
Yes.
gonna have groceries. And
Mhm.
then the generation after us, the Gen Zs are actually taking care of themselves. So like
Right.
millennials, we're just sitting here like
Pretty much. That is so accurate because that is totally the narrative that we got. And that's so validating too to hear it from you because the same thing with me. especially as social workers, that was like all we did was like, no, my job is the hardest. And no, I working 3 jobs and I also work at a shelter part-time and I do night duty and I also bartend, which by the way, those are all things that I did at once. And that's just the way that it was. And I will also say too, when I decided to sell my business, that was like some of the shame that I got from other people
Mhm.
was like, you didn't work hard enough and now you're a sellout. And if you were a really good business owner, you would keep it and you wouldn't get rid of it, which is the complete opposite. But that was
Yeah.
like a lot of the story that I was getting from people around me.
Yeah, that narrative. And it's so burnout has a lot to do with our culture and our society and how we view ourselves, but then also how other people view us. Because it was, and it wasn't just work, like, oh, I'm working so hard that I didn't eat and stuff. I don't know if you got this, but like, oh, but I also have pets. So like I have responsibility and I have to pay vet bills and stuff. And it's like, so that means I work harder than you. And then once we all started having children, it
Yes,
it
it's
became, but
another
I'm also
layer.
a parent. And I'm like, I have no pets, I have no children. And then it became like, you have such an easy life. You have no pets and you have no responsibility outside yourself. How lucky
Yeah,
you. And
no,
it's like,
that's
so
not
I feel like
true.
burnout is just, it's comparing, it's toxic. It comes from this toxic belief that we all have. So what, you're circling back, what's the shortest amount of time, understanding everyone that these are estimations, okay? Don't crawl up our butts, that burnout can happen. Like it's a process. I would think a couple months.
I would say at least 6 months. And
Mhm.
again, this also depends on a lot of different things, but usually I would say at least 6 months,
Mhm.
if not a year. But it's also very personal. And I also want to
Yep.
say that something that you just mentioned, Lily, is yes, burnout is a part of it's a systemic problem because sometimes when I talk about this, people get really pissed off and I get hate comments and they're like, this is the problem with society. I'm like, I completely agree with you that it is, but you still have choices. And so you can make a
Yeah.
choice to sit in the shit and complain and do nothing, or you can take a little bit of control and do what you can to live a better life.
Yeah. And it's, you can't change society, you can't change culture, but you can change you. You can
Mhm.
change, like, what are you, like you said, proactive. And I always tell people, are you empowered to take action?
Yes,
Like
yes,
this
I love
is your
that.
life. Control it as much. You can't control the outside stuff, so stop fixating on that. What can you control inside you that you can help change to make this better? And I know for me, and understanding burnout looks different to everybody, and it can be a
Mhm.
job, it can be being a parent. For me, honestly, it was trauma. Because guess
Yeah.
what? After a certain amount of trauma, you just tap. You you're done. You're done. You've had a
You
long day.
just
You're done.
live in your freeze response, and when you're living in your freeze response, that is burnout. So it can be a
Yep.
lot of different things that contribute. And also, if you are neurodivergent, we tend to not really be in our bodies a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And so we're missing a lot of those cues. So we're missing, like, even just, I think simply like a lot of us who have ADHD, if you're watching this, you might relate to this where it's like 3 o'clock and you haven't eaten because you've been so hyper focused on something and then you're
Mm-hmm.
starving. And that's because we're not paying attention to our hunger cues. And so it's the same thing. Like we're not paying attention to the cues that our body is giving us that like this is too much, or we're masking and we're trying to push through when we don't need to push through anymore.
I think that those are some really good points. So let's talk just a physical body.
Hmm.
Warning signs that, like, burnout is the end, but we want to handle this before the end. Like
Hmm.
that's the goal. And
Yes.
so for me, I would say holding my breath is a big one. Um, that I do on a regular basis, and that is a trauma response. When I get stressed, I'll just hold my breath. And
Hmm.
so remembering to breathe, because the more I notice that I hold my breath, the more stressed I get. And I actually learned this one while filming season 9 of The Blocks. when I am stressed, I will clench my teeth until the root of each tooth hurts. And I will not notice until I go to bed and my entire mouth is throbbing. And I'm like, I wonder why I didn't eat any sticky food. And then I'm like,
I do the same thing with my jaw and also with my shoulders. Like my shoulders will be like this. And I'm like, oh, my back hurts. And then I'm like, oh, maybe if I sit up like this, that might help the tension that I'm feeling.
And I do the exact opposite. You go up, I go down. I'll curl in. And everyone's like, what's going on? It's like, I'm fine. I'm conserving. I'm conserving.
Yes, I'm coming into myself.
So yeah, I think there are individual things that people can notice. So if you're holding your breath, clenching your teeth, your shoulders, all that stuff, absolutely. If you haven't used the bathroom, if you haven't eaten, all of these are important. And then people will say, well, I don't have time for that. I don't want to do that. You know, I'm so busy. Fill in whatever bullshit excuse you want to. No offense, but that's real. Then have Post-its. Have Post-its around the house. Have a ding on your phone. Have
one right here.
Yes. Okay, so you can't see it because it's taped onto the stand where the camera is. Be solution oriented is for my mental health, burnout thing. But it is the biggest sign I have in my entire workspace to prevent me from going down the rabbit hole of anxiety from hell. And so if you need Post-its all around your house, I was really, really close to burnout and things were not going well. And again, my burnout came from trauma, which is not fun. None of it's fun, by the way, but for everyone's personal experience, like, believe it or not, abuse is not the way I recommend going into burnout. But I started really hating my life and everything about it. And so I bought a stack of Post-it notes and I put them all over the house. And you want to know what they said? I can wipe my own ass.
Sure.
I breathe independently. I can put on shoes. And it was just these little things that I was like, it not only reminded me the positivity. So then it's like, yes, I do have control over something. I can fix something. But then it was also like, I don't suck, because I felt like I sucked all the time. And I'm like, I don't suck. I can do something. And then those little somethings become bigger somethings. And then all of a sudden you're like, yay, I balanced my checkbook. And yay, I did this. It gets bigger. But if you got to start a wipe your own ass, bless your cotton socks. I've been there. It was on a blue Post-it. I still remember it. And I lived with my mom at the time, and she refused to let me put that Post-it in the kitchen. I don't know why. That one had to go on the bathroom door because they were everywhere. There were just stickers everywhere.
I love that so much because it is important how you talk to yourself. And it is also like you have to be willing to make the change because life is hard and we're all busy. And I used to be full of excuses, and sometimes I still am, where I'm like, I'm just too tired. But I'm like, I know this is going to help me, and future me will really appreciate it. And future me is going to be the same me right now if I don't make some little change. And that's the thing, is it doesn't need to be like all of these big things and these big breakthroughs. It's all the small things that change the trajectory. Even taking one really deep breath is enough to stimulate your vagus nerve and calm your body. And that's just one deep breath. That takes like 3 seconds. And I know everybody has 3 seconds.
Yes, I always say that with self-care. When people say I have no self-care, I'm like, you're going to wash your hands for slightly longer after peeing. And they're like, really? And I'm like, yes, you're just going to feel the water. You're just going to feel the water for an extra few seconds. Every stoplight, because you have to stop at the stoplight. I'm sorry, that's traffic
That's
law.
the rule.
You are going to take deep breaths until it turns green.
I love that.
You can do things, and it's these little things. And the thing that I have noticed with people is they either want it to be a quick fix. It's a pill, it's an affirmation, or they want it to be something big. I need to change one big thing and then my life will be better. No, you will change dozens of small things and you will have an incredible life because of it. But it's not, you need to change from boxers to briefs and all of a sudden everything gonna be better. Not how it works. Sorry. You gotta breathe, you gotta eat, you gotta take care of yourself. And so, like, those are physical cues. Notice what's happening in your body. And again, if you can't, schedule it every night before bed, check in. Or if you're a morning person, I'm not. You're a morning person. No judgment, a little bit of judgment. Bless your hearts, because I'm not a morning person, so someone's got to do it. But check in with yourself, and it can be quick. It takes time to get used to it. So if the first time you take a deep breath and it hurts, you've been sucking in your stomach for 2 decades. Don't.
Right.
It's gonna hurt. You know,
it's gonna take time, and it can be, again, so small. Like we were just saying, breathe at the stoplight, wash your hands for longer. I don't know if you were you telling me the story about how your therapist says that washing the dishes is her mindfulness?
Yes. Sorry. Yes.
I thought that was you, because I love that story, because it's true. Like, enjoy washing the dishes. What does the water feel like? What does it smell like? Like, are you tasting anything? What are you hearing? Like, you can use all of these moments that are already in our lives to practice those things. And also, instead of adding, you can also look at taking away. What can you take away, or what can you delegate to somebody else to give you more space?
I like that. So what can you take away, but also what can you remove that's not helping your mental health? So I do not watch the news. I have not watched the news besides like the 60-second update on like TikTok. In years. And it's actually because many years ago I had a therapist, and she's like, your life is hard enough, and then you're watching the news and you're watching politics, because that's what, again, in our generation, that's what a well-informed person does. You should be watching the news. You should be educated. You should be in it. And I was just getting so upset about all that stuff. And it was like, but also that's stuff that I can't do anything about.
Right.
And she was like, don't watch the news. And I was like, but I stopped watching the news, and it's like my life was exponentially better. And for those who can watch the news and champion these issues that need to be championed so that we can have change, yes, thank you. It isn't going to be me. I will heal the world with Reiki just fine. You can heal it with politics, and I will happily contribute to your campaign.
Exactly. Like, the shoulds are just judgments that we put on ourselves. So yes, it is. And it's important to me too, right, that we do things to change and to be more culturally aware and politically, but I also don't watch the news because I can't handle it. And I know that it's too upsetting. It's too overwhelming. It's too much. So I will sometimes volunteer my time. I will donate. I do pro bono sessions sometimes. Like, I do other things that work for me.
Yes, exactly. So we have 2 comments. One of them was, burnout happens in the moment you are asked to do more than what you feel is right for you. It's a personal issue that no one else can dictate for you. So I think that burnout, yeah, that's right. Burnout has to do with boundaries. Like,
yes.
And in external, like, no, you're not allowed to walk all over me. No, I will not stay late for work. Absolutely. But also internal, because I am 100% the person that says I'll work another hour to myself in my own business that I run. And it's like, okay, I don't have to do this. I don't think you saw it. It was so messy. It was so bad. And it happened recently. I ate dinner, had a life, went to bed, woke up, immediately went to the gym when I woke up, because if I don't do it in the morning, it's not going to happen. And then I came home and I was like, you know what? I'm already in like sweaty, nasty clothes. That tree in the front yard should be cut down now. And so then I cut down a tree. And then after I cut down the tree, I realized that I had 15 minutes before a very important marketing meeting that was going to last 2 hours. So I ran upstairs, washed off, because there were a lot of spiders in that tree and there was a lot of wood chips. And I'm not sitting down to a meeting like that. Shower, sit down in the chair. We are 60 minutes into this 2-hour meeting, and I am leaning, and I'm realizing it I have just sweat profusely for several hours. I have not drank any water, and I have not eaten in over 18 hours. And I put in the little message, be right back. And I went and I got horribly sick. And then I came back and I was like, I finished the meeting. I'm like, I think everything okay? I'm like, it's fine. And in my head, I'm like, there's that hobgoblin who's like, you dumb bitch. You are going to die on this phone call. Oh my gosh. It ended. And I mean, I didn't even try and make food. I was like tearing open the pre-made pastry things that you can get at Costco and just shoving. Mm-hmm. There was no chewing. You don't need to chew.
No.
And then I door dashed real food. And I was like, oh my gosh. And I had posted on my social media. I'm like, this is what I did. And I almost felt like on social media, it made me very accountable. Mm-hmm. Like, I don't think everyone's life should be on social media. But me posting that mistake, one, it's transparent. And I hope people know that we are not perfect. We strive to help people, but we are not perfect. We occasionally chop down a tree and forget to eat. But it's like, it made me so accountable because now that I know that I did it and also that I posted it to all of my followers and clients and stuff, I'm like, I'm never going to do that again. Mm-hmm. Someone's going to call me out on it and I'm not going to do it. So I think that there are ways that you can hold yourself accountable, but also other people can hold you accountable. That's really nice with burnout. The other comment is, what can institutions and employers do to prevent burnout, knowing that these are advocates who might want to watch out for this?
Great question. The number one thing that always comes to the top of my mind when I get that question, and I also do burnout training for corporations and nonprofits and all different types of agencies, is listen to your employees, ask them for their feedback, and integrate that feedback if you're able to. But that is the number one thing because those are your people. Are they happy? Are they not happy? What's working? What's not working? So thinking about that and listening to them and, acknowledging I kind of hate this term, but the work-life balance and thinking about what that looks like. So knowing that there should be clear expectations about things in place. So that really helps prevent burnout too. Because if somebody is coming to work and they don't know, how long the deadline is for this meeting, or if they're supposed to be taking notes for this meeting, or how many days do I have to respond to emails, like that just creates resentment and problems, which leads to burnout. And I find that agencies that understand the impact of mental health and have very transparent and clear communication and are supportive of their employees, there's less burnout there.
I fully agree. I love the check-in method of like, there's designated time where you can talk about it and you go over things, and there's like an outline. No one's just flying by the seat of anyone have anything to say? Like, have an outline. Yes. And then the other thing that I really like is with the outline is to foster not an open door policy, because like boundaries, but it's like you can come to management or owners with anything. And that is, this deadline is unrealistic. This is, my child is sick. This right. is, and so that they're able to say that. And then there's flexibility, wiggle room, as well as compassion. It's that. And Liz the Red with Goth Girl Gourmet, who will be one of the vendors at the Samhain Symposium on October 28th, have deadlines that include PTO.
Yes. So people need to, like, taking time off does not fix burnout. It is important though, because when you come back from PTO, like the shit is still there. So you need to find ways to manage it. But taking time off is hugely important. Your work is not your life. You need to have separation from your work. You need to have time to live and to be with your family or to travel,
Mhm.
like whatever you want to do with your PTO, right?
Yes.
But those are the things that like light you up and make
Mhm.
you engage with your life and make you thrive. And
Yeah.
I have a friend who is so bad about this. She's better this year, but last year I think she rolled over like 200 hours of PTO. And I was like, girl, take your time off. Like she's
Like,
been with this company for 6 years and she gets 6 weeks paid time off. I'm like, take the time. I'm
yes.
sorry, but nobody's job is that important. They will be fine without you. Even ER doctors who are saving lives take time off and they
Yep.
have coverage.
Well, and I think that's a good point. If you are understaffed, if the place you're working is so understaffed or poorly managed that they can't survive without you, you Jesus Christ, you walk on water. Your fucking job sucks. The company sucks. Like that's not what it is supposed to be like ever. That one person, it because it's not realistic or healthy or safe or anything like that. All of the
Mm-mm.
organizations that I work with, that I volunteer with, all the events that I do, I have this because of a wellness center that I worked with many years ago. What if you got hit by a bus?
Yep.
What happens? And it's a succession plan, it's whatever, but it's like you no one can be the end all be all unless you run your own company. Like obviously Lily of the Light, I'm the end all be all. I go, the business goes. But for anything that like you work for somebody, it should not be that way. Every single event I do, people get really frustrated. Other people who run events, that I have so many staff and then I have so many volunteers and they're all given amazing perks and they're all given, even on a 1 day event where they have to do like 10 hours of work, they're given several breaks, they're given food breaks, they're given their own space and everything. They're going, they don't need that. You can work someone for 10 hours. And I'm like,
No, they do need that because they do. That is what makes us, again, I hate this word too, but productive, and rest is
mm-hmm,
also productive. And
mm-hmm,
so you don't need to push through, even if maybe you feel like you don't need a break, take one. Restore your energy. Stop looking at the computer. Get up and walk around a little bit. Like you
mm-hmm.
do need a break, actually.
Text the meme of the cute cat to your friend.
Yeah.
Bring some light into your life. And like, no, so for me, how how to prevent burnout. So I'm gonna use like I have chronic illnesses, which means that my health is number one no matter what. And
Mhm.
occasionally when my business has to come first, my health then comes second for a while. And then so I schedule 1 day a week where it is all self-care. And people think
Mhm.
I'm ridiculous. I'm like, no, there's nothing that is so important on this 1 day that my world should stop turning. This is when I do a really intensive set at the gym. This is when I see my doctors. This is all of that stuff happens on this day. But then also, I give myself leeway that, and it's not just chronic illnesses, everyone has a hard day. Everyone can have,
Mhm.
anxiety, depression, whatever. If I need a day, I take a day. I've canceled meetings before. And guess what? I've not lost a bunch of business from it.
Right. Mhm.
Like I'm not saying I'm on my deathbed. I'm just saying I'm so sorry. I have to reschedule. Thank you for understanding. Here are the dates that I have available.
Yep.
And it's fine. The world, I promise everyone who's watching, the world will not end. The world
It
will not
won't.
end if you take care of yourself. No one will die. You
Mhm.
are fine. And if in
And
any case that is happening, then you need to reassess some
uh,
shit.
yes, and things need to change. But like I think of it on the opposite end too, of like if people are just compassionate towards them. I'm like, okay. And I also have ADHD, which, impacts and when when work I work my best. So again, for myself, and I can manage my schedule in this way. So you have to find working for someone else that might mean like whatever that looks like, but I know I need a slow morning. Like I do get up early, but I'm not doing stuff having my coffee outside and I'm getting and doing my meditation. And I know that if I do that, I work really good. Like in the like 3 o'clock, I'm like starting. And I also know again, because of how my brain works, I need, so the hardest thing and the really hard, sometimes for me, it's just like, again, executive, like scanning paperwork, or times the hardest thing isn't the longest thing, but it's really tedious and annoying. What else? There's also a lot of things that Lily knows about this too, is like boundaries, but also setting energetic boundaries. If you are highly sensitive, are a healer or even an attorney or a teacher, and shit, you need to have a boundary. Um, those energies. So something that I do with my clients is we do nervous out what are your triggers over the edge into overwhelm, how do we make those little micro moments of joy throughout your day.
I totally agree. And so to Gabrielle is amazing about burnout and stuff. Shameless plug. Where can they?
Easy to find because I have a very unique website. Is Gabrielle, across Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Instagram is at GJ.
Perfect. I love it. To you before this. We know each other. We just no, we know each other. Burnout with you. I love have a unique view, but it's also you of it. You look at it from able-bodied and stay at home. It's not just I as all my followers know, as all my clients know. No, not here. Cutter bitch. You are very much who let me piece it together, and you are so anal retentive.
I appreciate that.
I love the, and we've discussed this off simple, small, sustainable. You look at something, you're tweaking it because how much more manageable. I mean, I could not imagine if someone told me going to change my life, that I will be healthy for the rest of my life, no chronic illnesses ever again. I will be successful. Unicorns will. If someone said I had to do it tomorrow, I honestly, if someone said in the next 2 years, I'd be like, unicorn shit's right.
Yes. That
process to change your life. Everyone, please, a pill you're going to take, and all of a sudden it's not. And we don't want it to be. I love the things because you want to know what? That is my warning sign that I'm best. That is a sign. And don't get this during the best, like during filming. I couldn't stop filming, but that time for me, I need, like, my body is telling me I need space. The second was like, nothing makes it easier to do this. Yes. I think I'm right.
No, just said too, because that is why soul's purpose. I love talking about, but I am, because social work, one of our code of ethics, explain any of this. It's more just like care of yourself. And if you're stressed,
oh, but doesn't this make you sick? Doing energy work and talking to people who are toxic or anything like that. And I say, no, because it's not mine. I am never going to inhale anything. No, spit it out. Like, yep. You're not meant to inhale other people's energy. And people say, I'm such a good healer, or I'm such a good friend, or I'm such a good partner because I make myself sick for. That's not how it works, people.
No, it's not. Set boundaries.
set verbal boundaries, energetic boundaries. We love boundaries. And here's the thing. My boundaries are a prison wall with barbed wire on top and a little bit of electric fence. Not everyone's boundaries are that intense. It could be a shrub that people just have to put effort into bumping up against. it can be a fence. It can be any kind of metaphor you want it to be. It doesn't have to be, you know, if you cross this, I'll fuck you up. It is honoring yourself and loving yourself to know what's best for you and not accepting less. It is about being okay. Raven Rising just said something about a motorway and I don't understand it at all. So I'm going to read it knowing that we're not going to understand it. I'm so sorry. Okay. Just make sure you turn on recirculate on the motorway to keep the fumes out.
Is that like a car thing? Because if it is,
I
don't know anything about that.
I'm sitting here going, I don't think we're cool enough for that. We are not, we are not mechanic-y people. Okay, my tires need air in them, and I don't wanna. Like that's
I can't deal with car stuff. Like the check engine light comes on, it needs an oil change. Like I get so overwhelmed and triggered by car stuff. I just completely shut down. Sorry. So that's just who I am.
That's okay. People, that's a perfect segue. Good job. Way to be with the energy. You do not have to do everything yourself. If you are not good at something, I have so many people in business and my personal life. Well, you should be able to know how to do this. God, no. Change the oil in your car. No. I'm going to pay someone. I'm going to overpay someone and be perfectly happy. They're going to do it. And they're going
to, this comes up constantly when I'm doing business coaching. And I work with a lot of therapists, usually who are group practice owners or who are scaling into that. And all the time they're like, how do I do this? How do I know how much to pay to somebody? How do I figure out the taxes? It's like, you don't. You get an accountant because they have degrees in that. And yes, I know it costs money, but if you want to be successful, put the ego aside. You don't need to know everything. That is why these people exist. Stop trying to write employment contracts yourself. Get an attorney. Protect yourself. Again, it's costly, but it's worth it. We don't need to know everything.
What's the price of sanity? What's the price of burnout? Both of those are much higher. Just pay the mechanic. So for me, mechanic marketing for my business, I am great at what I do. I'm great at this. I am not great at make a TikTok ad. Actually, I just got a message while we've been sitting here that he had to redo it because I hit a button. Yeah, I shouldn't touch it. I pay him to touch it. I'm not good at like fixing my own clothes, even though everyone in my family is really good at it. So anything to do with anything like that, I do not do manual labor anymore because of chronic illnesses. No shame there. I will pay you to move my shit. And everyone is different. I pay someone to do my taxes, which my dad hates. He called me criminal once. He's like, how do you know you're not breaking the law?
Though. Just that is something that I offload to because I don't know how to do it and I don't want to know. And my time is valuable. I don't want to waste my time doing that. And again, privilege, like I understand what I'm saying. I know that. And like cleaning my house also, I hate doing that. And I don't want to spend my valuable time off cleaning because I fucking hate cleaning. And I know that some people really love it, but I don't. I just want the house to be clean and I want somebody else to do it.
Yes. And I love cleaning because I love control in my house. I'm a Cancer. So like I like having control of my whole house. And so like I clean because of that. But no, if you need help, outsource it, especially if you need to learn how to outsource. You schedule an appointment with either Lily of the Light or Gabrielle. That's what you do. That's just take care of yourself. Oh my gosh. Because, okay, it takes me 3 times as long. I will have a panic attack and cry. That's worth $75 to me to have someone fix something.
Yep.
3 hours of my time, panic attack and cry. It's I've done the math. I have done the math on how long it takes me before I give up. And it's 3 hours and those 2 other things have to happen too. And recently I did this yesterday and the day before I was at the Minnesota Renaissance Festival doing tarot readings. It was fabulous. It's a fun thing to do. I got lost, had a panic attack, found someone I knew, did not sit there and go, I'm going to find my way. I should be able to find my way. No, I walked past paying customers into the back of the store where I knew some. And they were like, okay. And I look at them and I just say, I don't think you understand. Treat me like a puppy. I was like, I will not be offended. Lead me to where I need to go as if I'm a poodle. All right? Just lead me. And they are fine with it. That's the other thing. I think that people think that they're imposing on people. You're not.
That's the thing that I always say, especially when I was working with caregivers, because I worked with a lot of caregivers when I was a therapist, and they never want to ask for help. And that always leads to caregiver burnout, which leads to a lot more problems. And I would always say, like, if your friend or loved one came to you and you knew they were caring for somebody and they said, could you please help me with this? Could you please, pick up my kids from school one day next month just to help me out? Would you say, go fuck yourself? I'm not going to do that. I hate you. No, you would be like, absolutely. I would love to help you. Or I would love to, grab dinner and come over and help you put your laundry away or talk to you while you do that. Like, of course, right? So I always think of it from the switch. Like if somebody asked me, I would be like, yeah, of course I'm going to help you. And that can help a little bit, but asking for help, it goes way deeper, right? There's definitely a wound there and a part of you that is
There's
using
a whole
that
other
to protect
episode,
yourself.
I'm sure.
There is. So that is something to acknowledge and pay attention to, because those are also things that lead to burnout. Not asking for help, being a people pleaser, huge problem.
I think that you also bring up a good point, and I was just arguing with someone about this, and I got petty. My feelings were hurt. I got petty. I'm honest. I don't ask for help. I'm a lone wolf. Sweetheart, you have toxic independence from childhood trauma. That is not something to brag about. I'm a lone wolf. I like being so guys say lone wolf, girls say I'm independent like Beyonce. No, you're not. She has a team. You are not. No one is meant to be independent. We are a herd people. It takes a village.
Yep.
And here's the thing, like you said, look at it the reverse. Now, if you look at your friends and it's like, they would never do that for me, get different friends.
Yeah.
Don't,
for sure.
No, don't. None of my friends would drop everything. You want to know what I was doing before this? Out at Fest, my friend had a really hard weekend. And so today he's been messaging me. He's like, I'm so sorry. And I'm like, no, you're having a real crap time. Yes, I can do this. Like, I'm still going to go live. But up until the live, we were messaging back and forth. And then after the live, we're going to do that again. Because I love when I reach out and friends do that for me. I feel I feel like you all are missing out on something so beautiful in the human experience. How loved I felt when my friend's husband dropped supplies off at my house when I was sick once because she couldn't. How loved I felt when my friend blew off a paying customer to make sure that I got safely to where I needed to go. They're not hardships on them. They make their own decisions. It is an incredible feeling of love that you guys are missing out on. It is. Liz, yes, I'm calling you out, Liz. Just deal with it. I know that you don't ask anyone for help. I've seen you move boxes. Plural. Don't act like this ain't about you. And
but it's true.
It's a thing. And Ivy is saying, oh, but I need to do everything because I'm a perfectionist. It's demanded.
Well, if you are a perfectionist, that is also a trauma response, or it can be. Like, I don't know you, but typically it is. And again, asking yourself why. Why does this part of me feel like everything needs to be perfect? What am I afraid of if things are not perfect? Because that does go a lot deeper. And Lily is 100% correct. We are wired as human beings to connect with other human beings. It does not matter how introverted you are, how shy you are. same here. I am totally an introvert. You need to connect to other people. And that is one of the principles of nervous system work is co-regulation. We need other people to feel safe, and we heal trauma in safe relationships.
Yes. And it's beautiful if you let it happen. And if you say, no, I can't, or I won't, or I'm not around the right people, okay, then that's what you need to work on. Look at you. You already did the first step. You already figured out the first thing you need to work on. That's
Exactly.
amazing. Look at you ahead of the curve. Go for it. It's not an excuse. It's acknowledging what you need to work on. Now work on it. And I love that. I think it's beautiful. Okay. I know for a fact we could talk for at least 2 more hours just
Yep.
on burnout. However, we are coming up on the hour mark. What are your final thoughts about burnout and burnout prevention?
So, if you have stuck around or you're watching this later, first of all, thank you. And my thoughts are always that it is preventable, but you have to be the one to make the change. Nobody else is going to do it for you. And it is so amazing and powerful to change your life. And again, it's just small little things, but you do not have to live this way. It is not normal to wake up and be angry and irritable and hating everything around you. And this is always kind of cheesy, but it's true. Like, you can live your dream life and you can create it. And you're the only one that's getting in your own way. Because I used to have really limiting beliefs about that
Mhm.
too, especially when I was really burnt out. And now I'm doing something that I love. And, there is abundance all around. You just need to make those changes for yourself.
Absolutely. I love that. And I'm going to add to that as someone whose burnout happened from trauma and abuse, that things outside of my control did it. You can get out. Is it hard? Absolutely. Do you have to sacrifice a lot? Yes. Do you have to learn how to bite? 100% accurate. And you can do it. I am a
Yep.
living testimonial. Doctors look at me and the life that I had, and they sit there and go, you should have been a drug addict, dead, or a serial killer. And I said, I wanted more. I deserve more. And so I went and got more. And so, as much as things can happen to you with your job, with your life, with circumstances, mindset, determination, asking for help, doing those types of things change that. You can prevent burnout. It's not inevitable. It's like, well, if I'm not working so hard that I'm close to burnout, I'm not living. That's not what it's already. No. It's, you have a chance to have a beautiful life. Go
Mhm.
for it. Shamelessly, preferably. Shamelessly loud and like slightly sassy with a wiggle would be my preference. But if you do it quietly and whisper because that is your style, I love it too. Love
Mhm.
yourself enough to prevent your own burnout. And again, if you need help, we are both here. Put it in the comments. We will get back to you. Make sure that you're liking and sharing and following this so that other people, because let's be honest, burnout is a huge problem in this country right now. And I
Yeah.
know you love your friends enough that you want them to see this and you want them to get the help that Gabrielle and I can give. So please make sure that all of your friends are taken care of and that you have the right friends around you. Go forth, everyone. Be fabulous. I love you all. Thank you so much for joining me. I loved this conversation. This has been one of my favorites. This has just been fabulous.
Good. I'm so happy. And I'm so happy that I got to share all this juicy info with everybody because it is really important.
It is fabulous. All right, everyone, go forth, be the hero of your own story, and have a wonderful night.